Chapter, Roger Moore, 007. I'm going to attempt in about 2 minutes to give an overview of horizontal hydraulic fracturing for those that are unaccustomed to the process. Tens of thousands of new natural gas wells could be drilled from the southern Catskills to Lake Erie, and in the future from the Hudson River up to the Adirondacks with the Utica Shale, using this controversial technique. Gas drilling is not new to New York State, but what is new about this process is the volumes of water that are required. About 6,000 to 9,000 feet below the surface lies Marcellus and Utica shales. This is a methane-rich rock formation. And essentially to drill, they drill down, then they drill horizontally, in a precise manner through the shale, and they inject millions of gallons under incredibly high pressure, laced with tens of thousands of gallons of chemicals. Some of them are toxic, that include benzene, ethylbenzene, xylene, toluene, and it fractures the rock open. The sand goes in, they draw the water out, and the gas becomes free. Tens of thousands of acres in New York are already leased, and the environmental problems that we're looking at are mounting. 600 to 800 truck trips are involved in every frack job. There are air quality issues from all the diesel generators. It is incredibly disruptive to communities. Pipelines will fragment great habitats throughout the Catskills, and the scale of this is overwhelming. I want to talk just briefly about what has been experienced in other states. 20 miles south of the New York border, Dimmock, Pennsylvania, Cabot Energy, they were responsible for the contamination of 14 private drinking water wells. They spilled contamination into waterways, and they have poisoned residents. And Pennsylvania is taking a regulate as they drill approach, and we cannot afford to take that approach here in New York. Just give a little background of what the context in New York. For the past 2 years, since July of 2008, the DEC has been undergoing a supplemental generic environmental impact statement for horizontal hydraulic fracturing. This is something that they haven't studied before, and it has not been part of their secret process, their generic environmental impact statement. The draft that they put out last year was soundly panned by the environmental community, by New York City, by the EPA as grossly insufficient. That one of the biggest considerations that they failed to address was cumulative impacts, that they are concentrating merely on the individual well rather than looking what the collection of wells will do to New York's environment, how the emissions from one well will combine with hundreds of other wells in terms of air emissions, water quality, etc. This is why we need the moratorium very badly. This moratorium will give us two things. One, it will take pressure off the DEC so that they can make scientific decisions based on their own time frame rather than political decisions that will force them to complete their study by the fall, and as they've said, they intend to issue permits early in 2011, so that it will give them some breathing room so that they can make the right choices. Secondly, it will give the legislature at least a good portion of one session to address the gaps that they have missed in this study. And the DEC has already acknowledged that they lack the statutory authority to do many things that they need to be protective of New York's environment from gas drilling. One includes water withdrawals. There are chemical disclosure pieces. I don't think the DEC feels at this point that they can ban hazardous chemicals from drilling fluids. And I believe that communities need to be empowered through legislation so that they have more control over the situation and that they can prepare their citizens much better. So I will turn it back over to Julia, but I think that we are here in an empty chamber right now, and we expect the legislature to come back very soon to take care of the people's business and we do not want them to go home until they take care of this moratorium and protect New Yorkers. Thank you.
Up next we have Susan Zimmett, who is a county legislator from New Paltz, the Ulster County Legislature, and she's a former state senate candidate and the head, founder, and coordinator of the Zimmett Group.